This video continues our series on creating and completing a CAPA in FreeQMS. In the 6th part of our video series, we'll log in as user 3, our quality specialist, tasked with implementing corrections and corrective actions, and performing a verification of effectiveness. As our quality specialist, charged with completing the meat of the CAPA, let's click the CAPA module. We'll click the CAPA created earlier in our series. Let's briefly scroll down to CAPA items. We can see from our list of items, including our change order process and form, a necessary facility restart, and more, that this CAPA will touch on many areas of the organization. In the real world, implementing corrections and corrective actions on a CAPA like this may take weeks or even months. For the purpose of this guide, we'll complete the remaining actions at once. Let's scroll up and click CAPA Activities. Here we can see remaining activities to complete this CAPA. First, our user 3, who is the quality specialist tasked with implementing corrections and corrective actions, will tackle the correction to notify distributors of affected products. Let's click that activity. Now let's pause here for a moment. This is a great time to highlight FreeQMS's flexibility. In our fictional example, we're alerting distributors of a problem after performing our investigation. This may be because we're unsure of the exact cause. In the real world, depending on company procedures and the scenario, alerting distributors of problematic products may happen after the investigation, or it could have happened as part of the containment. For example, if our quality management was reasonably certain that the highlighted issue posed a public health risk, we could have created a separate containment activity to notify distributors of a problem at the start of the CAPA. In our fictional example CAPA, we've not noted that the affected products resulted in any reportable events or serious problems, but rather, they're just deficient in documentation and risk assessment, so we're alerting distributors as a correction. Let's click the Edit button and complete this activity. The activity status is closed. The complete date is today's date. Correction is all distributors notified of product that is deficient in risk assessment using a list provided by sales department exported from ERP software. Risk posed by correction. Distributors may choose to perform field corrective action or recalls of product depending on their procedures. Click Save. We've completed a correction, but now we need to add verification. Let's click Add CAPA Activity Verification. Now we'll complete this form. Evidence list of distributors notified. Let's click Browse next to Upload. We'll select our fictional document, CAPA Correction Evidence Distributors Notified. Our notes will say, List exported from company ERP software. Now let's click Create. Great, we've finished our correction and provided evidence. We can see the activity status of closed. Let's click CAPA Activities to return to our list of activities and complete our next correction. Here's where we need to pause and once again discuss the flexibility of FreeQMS. Our next correction is titled Restart Facility After Instituting Corrective Action. This is a correction that takes place after a corrective action. Try that with most paper forms. Every other EQMS on the market either follows a tabular structure placing corrections before corrective actions, or enforces corrections first. This forces companies to do out-of-order items as action items or attachments and leads to poor record keeping. There's no reason in FreeQMS that we have to complete this correction now. Instead, we'll click our corrective action. Here is our corrective action activity. Finally, the heart of a CAPA. Let's review the description. Update change control form to assess risk per ISO 14971. Assess engineering specifications in order of build importance. Remember, this is a fictional example, but in the real world it may take a while to roll through all these changes. Let's click Edit. This is the same form as all the other activities except for the last fields as usual. Let's complete it. The activity status is closed. Complete date will be today's date. Corrective action is change order SOP and form updated through change order XX500 to include risk assessment to ISO 14971. All relevant employees trained to new procedure. Change order XX501 open to reassess all engineering files. All engineering files for affected products are assessed and updated as required. Risk posed by corrective action will say, change order risk assessments require qualified personnel to complete. Average time of completion for change orders may be longer. Okay, let's click Save. We've completed our corrective action by explaining that we've updated our change order SOP and form to include a risk assessment, trained employees, and we've assessed the engineering drawings for our product. But where's the proof of all this? We still need to attach evidence. Let's click the Add CAPA Activity Verification button, and we'll complete this form. Evidence will say, see attached PDF of updated change order XX500, change order SOP and form, and change order XX501 engineering documents. Again, click Upload and the Browse button. We're going to select our document, CAPA Corrective Action Evidence of Updated Change Order Procedure. The notes will say, see next evidence for proof of training. Now let's click the Create button. FreeQMS supports unlimited evidence attachments, and in the real world, a CAPA like this would have many. For our fictional example, we're going to click the Add CAPA Activity Verification button again to attach our training evidence. Let's complete this form. Evidence says, training records for affected employees on new change order process. Upload, click the Browse button. We're going to select our file, CAPA Corrective Action Training Records for Update Change Order Process. In the notes we can say NA here. Now let's click the Create button. Great, we've completed what is generally the most time-intensive part of a CAPA in the real world. Let's complete our last correction, do our verification of effectiveness, and close the CAPA. We'll start by clicking CAPA Activities and returning to our activity list. We need to complete our remaining correction to restart our facility. We'll click this now. Here we can review the description. Restart facility after instituting corrective actions. This is a fictional example, but basically this is telling us to activate our facility restart procedures to start manufacturing again after updating our engineering drawings for risk. Let's click Edit, and we'll complete this correction. Activity status is closed. Complete date is today's date. Correction. Facility restarted according to facility restart procedure. Risk posed by correction will say aspects of facility must be re-verified, and we can now click the Save button. We've completed our correction, but as always, it's time to add evidence. Let's scroll down and click the Add CAPA Activity Verification button, and we'll complete this form. Evidence, see attached completed facility restart form. Upload. We'll click the Browse button and select our file, CAPA Correction Evidence Facility Restart Form. And for the notes we'll say, Form completed by Facilities Team. Click the Create button. Great, our last CAPA correction is complete. Now we're ready to pretend to wait 6 months, perform our VOE, and get this CAPA out the door. Let's click CAPA Activities and return to the list. Let's pause for a moment and discuss verification of effectiveness, or VOE. VOE may or may not apply to your organization. Verification of effectiveness is a CAPA activity called for by some quality standards, where the organizations are required to wait a self-specified period of time before checking their own work. They're meant to verify the effectiveness of the CAPA, as in, do the corrections work? Some older quality management systems are completely missing VOE, and users are forced to build out custom pages to accommodate this crucial step. FreeQMS, as with any CAPA activity, allows you to perform VOE in any order, but in the real world it will almost always be performed last. Let's click our Verification of Effectiveness activity. Here we can see the description assigned by our quality manager. As part of our verification, we will be checking to see if the changes made to our change order form addresses the risk management deficiency in our engineering specifications over time. In a real business example, a company may have to wait 6 months or more to perform a VOE like this. The company would have to allow for enough time for all their specifications to pass through a change order and for all the documents to have their risk management updated. And finally, to see if those updates adequately improved risk management in practice. For our fictional example, we're going to pretend this time has passed and click the Edit button. The VOE form is identical to the other activity forms except for the final fields. Let's complete it now. Activity status would be in progress, and the complete date would be today's date. Now, notice this form does not have a place to document VOE, just for a VOE plan. The creators of FreeQMS feel VOE evidence is best documented using FreeQMS's verification feature, just like on other CAPA activities. For now, let's complete our plan. Perform review of engineering specifications to assess conformance to ISO 14971. Trend change order start to finish date to determine effect of efficiency of the change order process. Trend nonconformances and audit findings related to ISO 14971 to determine effectiveness of changes. Now let's click Save. We've updated our VOE with a fairly extensive VOE plan and set it to in progress. This lets others involved in the CAPA know that we're working to address these issues. We're going to do things a little differently in this example and attach our evidence before setting the activity to closed. This is not required and is purely for example's sake. Click Add CAPA Activity Verification and let's complete the form. Evidence will say, see attached PDF including a review of engineering specifications to assess conformance to ISO 14971 and a trending of change order start to finish date to determine effect of efficiency of the change order process and a trending of nonconformances and audit findings relating to ISO 14971 to determine effectiveness of changes. Now for upload, we can click the Browse button and select CAPA Verification of Effectiveness, Trending of Change Orders since CAPA Corrective Actions. Notes: see quality for additional information if required. Now let's click Create. Great, now our evidence is added. Let's scroll up and click Edit one more time. Now we'll set activity status to closed, and scroll down and click Save. Congratulations, our VOE activity is now complete. This concludes Part 6 of our CAPA video series. The final partner series will deal with reviewing and closing the CAPA from the perspective of our quality manager user, including the use of electronic signatures.